Okay, so this is the third and hopefully last take. Um, the other two were absurdly long, and yeah, I was just talking for ages. Should probably shut up now, because otherwise it's going to happen again. Um, but yeah, I'm just going to do a quick talent vid, explain all the talents, um, what they do when I think they're good, what I think you should use them for, how they're going to affect the disc spec when you take them. That way you can make your own talent choices rather than asking for some cookie cutter spec that isn't going to be the best for specifically what you want to do. You change it all the time um, when you're doing different things, so it's better if you understand what everything does so you can do that for yourself. Um, Having said that, I will give my opinion on what I think is best for certain things. So, okay, first tier. We got the Penitent, Castigation, and Schism. The Penitent is pretty staple. You want to take that most of the time in Arena, especially if you're not sure which one to go for. If you're getting a little bit more confident, you can take Schism, but be aware that you can just lose games because of not having friendly penance. So, as I agree with trying to push damage as much as possible, but at the same time you don't just want to lose the game because you don't have this. So just be aware of that. Castigation not great. It adds 33% damage to your penance, where Schism just literally is flat 30% damage to everything that has that up, which is pretty solid, considering that Schism actually does more damage than a Smite in the same cast time. For Battlegrounds, again, Schism, good stuff. You don't really want to be using penance on friendly targets too much in Battlegrounds since it's mostly atonement healing, and that's coming through your damage, so the more damage you can do, the better. Same principle for raids and dungeons, in my opinion. I would take Schism, but for Arena I would take this most of the time. Second tier, we got Feather, Body and Soul, Masochism. These two have been nerfed a little bit. They're both 40% speed now. Feather is 5-second duration, Body and Soul 3-second duration. Most of the time you want to be taking Feather. You can take Body and Soul if you think you're going to get away against comps that are going to purge spam you when cleaving you down. But also you need to bear in mind that this is very good against cleaves. It's basically an extra 50% healing on each Shadow Mend. So that's kind of a big deal. So for cleaves, my pick would be this one. Since Feather isn't that great for kiting now and you're going to be slowed anyway. But for general arena play, Feather is a must. You don't want to be pigeonholed by having to shield for speed since it's got a cooldown now. So yeah, you need to remember that. For BGs, Feather's fine. And same for instances and raids. Third tier, we got Shining Force, Psychic Voice, and Dominant Mind. Well, this one you can immediately count out. It doesn't work on players, for Arena that is. And just in general, you want your 30-second fear in Arena. Having a knock is nice on like Blade's Edge or something against a cleave, but just generally 30-second fear is so important that you don't want to drop it. In BGs, this is really fun if you're on Eye of the Storm or AB or something, just knocking people off after mind controlling them and stuff. You can have a lot of fun with that, so I recommend giving it a try. And then for dungeons and leveling and questing and whatnot, this is pretty solid. It's just an extra bit of damage. You have a pet, helps you out, 3-minute cooldown. It's not bad. So yeah, give it a go. Fourth tier, we've got Power Word Solace, Shield Discipline, and Mindbender. Pretty much a no-brainer tier. You can just literally take Mindbender for everything. It's just more raw DPS than Power Word Solace. And other than some kind of really niche PvE encounters, I would say that it's better than just getting Shield Discipline, since damage is so important as disc now. Fifth tier, we've got Contrition, Power Infusion, and Twist of Fate. I haven't actually taken this yet, but I've heard that there's some theory crafting behind that actually being not too bad in PvE. I actually just like PI though. I like the effect that it has and how much damage you can put out when you pop it, and just the fluidity of the gameplay once it's been used. So I usually take that for pretty much everything. Except if you're against a mage in arena, you don't want to play this because he's just going to spell steal it. And Twist of Fate is actually, in my opinion, better against cleaves, since they're going to purge spam you anyway. And maybe warlocked teams basically with a lot of AoE pressure, where people are going to fall below that 35% fairly regularly. Stuff with heavy CC, where if you're playing RMP, your mage gets dropped below 35 blocks, you come out of CC, you want to pick him up, that's going to proc, it's going to be good stuff. Especially since you kind of lack a little bit of raw healing as disc. So yeah, that's when you want to use those, bear that in mind. We got the 6th tier, it's a bit lackluster in my opinion. Could talk about it for a while, but need to try and keep it short because I don't want this video to drag on forever. We've got Clarity of Will, Divine Star, and Halo. Now for Arena, Clarity of Will, I reckon, is a fairly solid choice. It's kind of a toss-up, but Halo breaks CC. Probably better for 2s. Clarity of Will, probably better to be a staple thing for 3s. If you do need to just throw out a big heal before going ham, this is good stuff, but you need to be aware that it can be dispelled, which is a bit sad, but what are you going to do? Divine Star, not that great. It's less healing than a plea now by a fair bit. And the damage is just horrible. The only time this is good damage is if you're doing PvE and you want to pop it into a group of mobs, and then it's pretty decent DPS per global. Other uses of these are if you're trying to tank a cleave and they use their kicks and you get locked on Shadow but you're not locked on Holy, then you can, if you have Clarity of Will, you can then spam that. I'd say if you get kicked on Shadow, you look to Penance, or Shield then Penance, and then go for one of these. Depending on what stuns they've got and stuff, you need to try and bear that in mind as well, because it's 2.2 set cast, 2.5 base before haste. So yeah, just bear that in mind. Halo's obviously the safer option there, but you can't spam it, so yeah, just be aware that you can break CC with this. And 7th tier, the big one, we got Purge the Wicked, Grace, and Shadow Covenant. For Arena, Grace, no brainer every time. It's too good not to take. Arena's a lot about spot healing, like focused on one person, maybe 2, and the Atonement is more about like more AoE healing playstyle. And although Atonement is great, this is not providing enough of a damage boost to justify not taking this. So take Grace in Arena. For BGs, you can take Purge the Wicked. If you're getting trained, you can just throw that out on a load of people with Atonements up, and they can't kick you, they can't stop you, and you can focus more on keeping yourself alive, rather than worrying about throwing out casts that are just going to get stopped anyway. For PvE, dungeons, raids, or more so heroics and mythic dungeons, I'd say Purge the Wicked is really good. On trash, it spreads around real fast, and just is generally a really good DPS increase if you can get away with using it. If your tank's taking a shit ton of damage though, you want to take Grace. Basically, as you get more geared in the current content, you should be able to take this. I've done all the mythics with this and it's not been a problem. Shadow Covenant, I am not a fan of. It's double the healing of Power Word Radiance, but it doesn't provide Atonement. It heals more allies, and it's cheaper, faster, but it does put the Absorb on for that extra healing that lasts for 6 seconds. So it's I'd say it's decent AoE healing, but it's burst AoE healing. So you're like going to do that once, maybe twice on like a raid or whatever. I'd say that's more of a raid spell. So yeah, that you don't need to worry about that too much for PvP, I wouldn't say, because you're just going to be taking Grace anyway. I don't like in BGs healing if I'm not putting up Atonement. I think just putting up the Atonement and going back to doing damage is well, important, but also just my playstyle. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the talents. If you do have any opinions or things to say that I haven't thought of or said, feel free to hit me up in the comments and let me know, or give your opinion or whatever. Well, I sound so American right now. But yeah, no, just I haven't, played this expansion that much either, but people were like, yo, please tell me what talents to take, so I figured, screw it, I'm just going to make a guide. But obviously I'm still learning too, so there might be stuff that is subject to change in the near future. But I will put a text guide in the comments, and if anything does change, I will update that. So, yeah. Good luck.